Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, friends. Today I'm going to do this video Pharynx and Epiglottis upward design. Some people have claimed that the pharynx and the epiglottis are a upward design in the human being. According to this claim, the pharynx is the common passage of the respiratory and the gastrointestinal tracts. According to the people who make this claim of poor design, there is a high chance of the food getting into the lungs through the pharyngeal passages to the laryngeal passages, and that can lead to aspiration, pneumonia, and hence death. This is thus a poor design, and the two tubes, that is the gastrointestinal tube and the respiratory tube, should have been separate. That would have been a better design. On the face of it, it looks a very sound argument. Why should there be an epiglottis and a pharynx and a common passage for the respiratory and the gastrointestinal tracts? There should have been a separate system of tubes for both of these systems. So why there's a pharynx? They claim that the separate tube system is a better design than the design that we have is faulty on three grounds. Point number one is that if we had a separate tube system, then we would have suffocated to death by a common cold even. Not to talk of rhinitis and sinusitis and other such things. So whenever a person gets sinusitis or rhinitis or any other common cold or any other respiratory infection, the nasal passages are filled with mucus, and this leads to blockade of the nasal passages. So the expiratory or the inspiratory air has an alternative passage to pass through, that is the oral cavity in this design. So the human being can respire during a common cold or a sinusitis or a rhinitis or any other respiratory infection. When there is blockade of the respiratory tract, he can respire easily through the mouth. So there is little difficulty in doing so. Had there been separate tubes for the respiratory and the gastrointestinal tracts, this would not have been possible, and we would have suffocated to death, but just by simple blockage of the nasal tracts by mucus. One more thing that needs consideration here is that the pharynx is also an outlet for the eustachian tubes, and the eustachian tubes, in order to maintain the pressure inside the internal ear, the eustachian tubes have to be connected to pharynx, and if they are not connected to pharynx, the pressure will not be maintained in the inner ear, and we will not be able to hear. So hearing ability will be impaired. This is seen when we have a common cold or a respiratory infection, and that impairs our hearing ability. This is a common experience. So the claim that a separate tube system should be present for the respiratory and the gastrointestinal tract is faulty, and that's a poor design instead. So the presence of pharynx and epiglottis is a better design than the presence of a separate tube system for the respiratory and gastrointestinal systems. One more advantage that is furnished by this design is that the respiratory pathogens which are aspirated by through the sputum are transferred to the digestive system, and they are destroyed in the stomach by the HCl. This destroys the harmful pathogens that may be present in the sputum and that may cause infection in the upper respiratory tract, in the pharynx, oropharynx, nasopharynx, etc., or the nasal cavities or the sinuses that drain from the brain. So this claim that the epiglottis and pharynx system is a poor design is based on a faulty analysis.